But if they do, okay, I think we all want to hear them. So I give you, for the first opening statement, Mr. Tim Wahlberg.
Well, thank you, 912 Group, for putting this on, and thank you, citizens, for coming out tonight. It's good to look out and see the many friends and neighbors, Boy Scout leaders, Kiwanis members, 4-H, all sorts of people that Sue and I have had the privilege of working with, serving with, and partnering with, and being neighbors to, and friends with for the past 32 years as we've lived here. That also leaves a record. That also makes it very clear that you know me. I'm not a newcomer to this neighborhood. It's also great to see what impact the potential loss of our freedoms and liberties produce in bringing out a crowd. You have arisen to the concerns that are out there. Most of you know me, but just in case you don't, let me take the opportunity here to go to my BlackBerry on my hip, or my brain on my hip, as it's known. And let me tell you who I am. I'm Tim Wahlberg, and this is where I stand. I stand for our founding principles, belief in God, our Declaration of Independence, Constitution, and Bill of Rights. I stand for freedom, freedom to start a business, to choose your doctor, what you drive, what you eat, to carry a gun, to teach and raise your own children, and to live your own life. I stand for personal responsibility. Let's encourage common sense, good behavior, and discourage bad behavior. I stand for limited government, limited regulation, limited spending, limited taxing, and limited borrowing. In this world, that means cuts. And I stand for life and all other American traditional values.
I'd like to introduce to you now our second speaker, Mr. Brian Rooney.
Thank you very much, and I want to thank the 912 Group as well for putting on this incredible event. I'm running for Congress for 3 reasons, and their names are Silas, Eleanor, and Blaze. I'm running because I was always taught that as a father, an American, that you leave the country better off than you found it to your next generation. And right now, I don't believe Mark Schauer and President Obama are going to leave my children, your children, and grandchildren with a country that's better off than the way they found it. They're going to leave a country that's less prosperous and less free to the next generation. That's unacceptable. I believe that this next election, starting on August 3rd and finishing on November 2nd, is going to be a referendum on the very identity of America. Whether we are going to be a country that was founded over 200 years ago in the principles of freedom for the individual, less taxes, and smaller government in size and scope, or one that President Obama and Mark Schauer sees as the future of this country, one that is similar to a Western-style social democracy that's on the decline, that needs more government intervention, more government jobs to be part more and more of our lives and to take care of us more and more from a big government perspective. I have real-world experiences, and that's why I'm running for Congress. I believe the Founding Fathers wanted somebody that had real-world experiences that they could take down to D.C. and not just craft legislation that looks good on paper, but knows in the real world it works as well. I've lived on 2 border towns when I served my country in the Marine Corps, down in Yuma, Arizona, and San Diego. And I see the effects that a wall has in San Diego and a wall doesn't have in Yuma, Arizona. I served overseas in Iraq between 2004 and 2005. Ronald Reagan saw an enemy in the Soviet Union, and he called it evil. I saw an enemy in radical Islam, and I called it evil. We can never forget that we still are at war with radical Islam, and we must always rise to meet that challenge. The people that try to blow up planes over Detroit at Christmas time, and blow up a bomb in New York Times Square recently, they're not common criminals. They're war criminals, hell-bent on trying to destroy our way of life. I also am involved in several family businesses, one that most people know. My grandfather was Art Rooney, who founded the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm on this board of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I'm proud of that legacy. My grandfather taught me a lot about what it meant to be a young man as I was growing up with him, and I take a lot of those life lessons he taught me forward. One that was passed on by my father as well, is this country gave my family a lot. Back in the 20s and 30s, if you were an Irish Catholic in the Northeast, you were either a cop, a fireman, or a horseman. And my grandfather was a horseman, and he was a good horseman. He founded the Pittsburgh Steelers based off some winnings that he had in Saratoga a long time ago, and I'm proud of that. And my grandfather taught me that you need to give back to this country what's given you so much. and that's one of the reasons I decided to join the
I
group.
give you Mr. Marvin Carlson.
My name is Marvin Carlson. I'm a businessman and an entrepreneur. Now I have here in my hand a $1 bill. Now I remember, and I'm sure most of you can remember, that a $1 bill once bought a gallon of milk and even a gallon of gas. Now currently, the Obama administration has made the federal government borrow $2 trillion over the last 18 months. Now I'm a simple guy. I don't really understand what $1 trillion means, and I'm sure most of you don't know. It's simply incomprehensible to me. But it is important to understand the enormity of $1 trillion debt and rising. So when searching for a way to visualize what $1 trillion is actually like, so we can understand what $1 trillion means, I stumbled on an interesting analogy. If you take one of these dollar bills, line it up, one after another, 1 trillion of them will take you from the Earth to the Sun, 93 million miles away. Now, to me, that clarifies the issue. Barack Obama, over the last 18 months, in council with Mark Schauer, has spent, has borrowed, has printed 2 million of these, beyond the revenue that they accumulated over that period of time. So he's taken us to the sun and back. And that's not all. We are currently facing a deficit, a debt, a sovereign debt approaching $14 trillion. That's 7 times round trip to the sun. Now I think as you approach the sun, it gets hotter and hotter and hotter, and eventually you flame out. I believe that's what's going to happen to this country. I think we're on a path to bankruptcy.
This is a multiple choice. If you said yes, what would you recommend to replace its revenue? Flat tax, fair tax, value-added tax, other tax? Mr. Rooney.
I've always been a flat tax guy, but I can live with a fair tax too.
Very good. That wasn't yes or no, but I got the idea. Mr. Carlson?
I think a fair tax works best.
Thank you. Mr. Wahlberg?
Fair tax, but I can live with a flat tax.
Would you vote for English being declared the only official national language?
It is the only official national.
That's not the question. Would you vote for it?
That's a declarative yes.
Good. Mr. Wahlberg?
I better since I sponsored it. Correction, co-sponsored it.
Mr. Rooney?
Yes.
Very good. Would you vote for English being declared the only official national language?
It is the only official national.
That's not the question. Would you vote for it?
That's a declarative yes.
Good. Mr. Wahlberg?
I better since I sponsored it. Correction, co-sponsored it.
Mr. Rooney?
Yes.
Very good action. Mr. Carlson first, Rooney, Wahlberg. Should there be a federal ban on affirmative action?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. The 10th category, Social Security and individual savings. Mr. Rooney first, then Mr. Carlson, then Mr. Wahlberg. And the question is, would you support legislation making available independent savings accounts to optionally reduce long-term participation in the current Social Security system?
Yes.
Mr. Carlson?
I certainly would.
Mr. Wahlberg?
Yes.
Thank you.